welcome back to KRON4's special, Selma to Ferguson, What Has Changed? Artist Lava Thomas's two-part exhibition at MOAD examines the way bodies signify identity. She uses our breadth of collective and individual physical experience as a point of departure from which to consider not only the world as we know it, but that which might lie beyond. Also considering what lies beyond, London Breed pushes the boundaries of her predecessors, becoming the second African-American woman ever to be elected president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. A San Francisco native born and raised in public housing in the Fillmore District, she was elected to represent District 5 in January 2013. The brand new President of the Board of Supervisors for the City and County of San Francisco, London Breed, thank you so much for being with us. First of all, look at the film and think about what happened on Bloody Sunday. What comes to mind for you?
I think what comes to mind to me when I see the film and when I watch that particular incident is a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. I couldn't stop crying when I watched that movie because I think about just what those folks were fighting for back then and how we take for granted our right to vote even now. They were just asking for equal protection under the law to vote, and they were being disenfranchised.
What's more at risk now, the threat for voting rights the threats that are going on around the country to discourage people from voting in various cities around the country, or the apathy that you just described as it pertains to voting?
Well, it's really hard to say, especially when you look at the voter turnout. You look at the voter turnout all over the country, and especially in poor communities. You know, the numbers are very low. And so it can be quite frustrating when, you know, someone expects you know, a polling place, or they expect all of these things to make sure that they feel included in the process, but they're not taking full advantage of the opportunities that exist. It continues to be a struggle.
Do you feel like there is a connection or a thread that connects what was the protests of Selma to the protests of Ferguson?
I think there is somewhat of a connection. For example, when you see the movie Selma and you see the incident where a man who was unarmed was killed by a police officer, you know, the sad reality is there's a connection of some of those incidents happening in our country today. And back then, you know, it was accepted and no one was prosecuted for it. And look at how far we've come, where you could have an African American as the president of the United States and still no justice. What had happened to Eric Gardner? I mean, just the fact that this is on video and still, you know, there's no justice served. And so people are outraged and they're frustrated and they're sick and tired again of being sick and tired, and they want to see changes to a system that is not prosecuting people who should be prosecuted for murder.
Black History Month started out as a week so many years ago, and the month of February doesn't have the same resonance as it did certainly when even I was a kid about Black History Month. Is it still relevant?
Celebrating a culture, celebrating a history is always relevant. It's always important to remind people so that folks can remember exactly, you know, what the past, what were some of the things that happened in the past, and how do we do better as a society, not to repeat the mistakes of the past. So in the case of Selma and the film and its relevance today at a time when all over the country, you know, the issues around police brutality are highlighted in a way like never before. You know, we go back to 1965. Those same issues were happening at that time. So what have we done different, or what do we need to do different in order to make sure that we make real progress so that those kinds of things are not continuing to happen in this day and age? It's always relevant and it's always important to celebrate it.
As we continue to explore Selma to Ferguson, what has changed? Who better to speak about the current and future opinions on race than members of the Black Student Union of Mission High School in San Francisco? So should we just sit? How many saw Selma? Raise your hand. Hi. 3 of the 5, okay. What you think?
It was a really good movie. I have a close connection to it because I have family who've actually, I believe, gone to Selma.
They were there
I think
50
so.
years ago?
I believe so, yeah.
I thought it was like really beautiful.
What was beautiful? What was powerful?
Like I seen it beautiful because just these African American minds coming all together and working for such a cause. That's beautiful.
Okay. Gianni?
It was empowering and it was just amazing to see the different things that they had to go through.
We saw the demonstrations in the film. If you haven't actually seen the film, you've seen some of the clips from the film, the way they were organizing and whatnot. And then we come forward to today, and you see all of the protests going on today coming out of Ferguson and what happened with Eric Garner in New York. Is there a connection or no?
History is repeating itself. Like back then, we have, you can say like white people in power, and like now the Republican Party runs Congress. And so, and then we're going back to the police, like police are killing off like African Americans now, and they used to beat them and like lynch them back then. It's just, everything is like just going through a constant cycle, like 50 years later.
And what are the issues that mean so much to you now, at this stage in your lives? What do people need to know? This is important to us.
I think a new slogan, it should be just "Let me succeed." When it comes to the young adults, because you got Black Lives Matter, and then for the young people like us, it's "Let me succeed." I want to be able to walk down the street, go to like a store, and not have to worry about being harassed by a police officer or deal with any kind of racism. I want to be able to take the bus and go to school, not be stopped by a police officer. Let me succeed. Let me go to college. Let me build a life, a family, and a career for myself, and without all of these problems going on in my community.
What other messages are the messages that you want to be heard?
Equality, I want to say. Like, especially when you're a young African American female, females already, we have setbacks. There's not too much we can do because we're always getting that stereotype that you should just be the housewife, cook, clean, take care of the children, this and that, I don't want you working. And when you're an African American female, it gets worse because they see you as a slave to society, I guess. You know, that you're gonna do whatever you can to get your money, and how you don't care for other people. You know, you always fight with other females and you can never get along with anybody. But I think equality is the main thing we need.
Is Black History Month still relevant?
Very, very. Yeah, I mean, because growing up for me, I went to Asian dominated schools. So from my view, Black History Month was just a couple posters on the wall and you guys were slaves. That's really all I learned. And then coming into high school and having it be such a diverse school, and, you know, knowing about the Black Student Union, you know, you get a feel for what our culture really is.
I was raised really, really bad neighborhood, and then got out and then moved to a really white dominated area. And same thing, Black History Month, couple posters, like some BET, that's it. That's where I learned where Black History Month really came from, BET. Like, where's the marches? Where's the drummer men walking down the street? Where's the singers and everything? It's
to celebrate.
Yeah, where's the celebration? We have a whole month to celebrate. It's not just a day. And I've yet to see it. I'm still waiting.